We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully your day is going well. This is Sunday, but it's being recorded on Friday night. And of course, this one is a TikTok live. I love doing the TikTok lives because we get a lot of the regulars on the show. We get a lot of people we haven't heard from. And it's always very interesting to hear perspectives and insights and just the knowledge some of these people have. We've run into some very interesting, intelligent, articulate folks, and I'm looking for more of that tonight. We got some goofy shit going on, things to talk about. I'm going to check and see if some of our regulars are up yet. I'm not seeing them yet, but that's okay. We can talk about what we're going to talk about as more and more people get in on the program. And, a lot of people look at these as lives, and I look at it more of a program. That's my goal, really, to make it informative as opposed to just people sitting around and going, yeah, what'd you have for dinner? We're going to talk about some shit. Got a comment from D. Undertaker. Hi, Boomer from Memphis. Love Memphis. Big Elvis fan. That's me. People always said, why did you like Elvis? You were born after his heyday in the 50s. Well, in the 60s, I used to watch all the Elvis movies on TV. And here's the fucking deal. This guy was handsome. He got every girl. He won every fight. He won every race. Who the hell wouldn't want to be Elvis? So, anyway. Hi, Boomer from Fredonia, New York. How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. I'm always impressed and humbled by the fact that we get a lot of people to come to these lives. Usually it's short notice. We're not promoting the hell out of this or anything. So it's unusual that we just come out of the blue and here we are. I've got a couple of the regulars. They are not only on the panel frequently and contributing guests, but they are also moderators, which I am very thankful to have. If you've ever seen a TikTok live for me when there are no moderators, it is an absolute shit show. So Rebecca and TJ, welcome to the TikTok live, and I appreciate the fact that you're available to come in at a moment's notice.
Hey, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
So
Brian from Fredonia, New York is our neighbor.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Yeah, Fredonia, New York's really close to us.
So not literally your neighbor, but
no,
a nearby town.
Yeah, very close.
It's what? How far is it, TJ?
I don't know.
25 minutes, maybe.
40 minutes max.
40 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe he'll decide to come up, and we'll grill him. We'll grill him on what it's like being in the
cousin
proximity.
actually has a barbecue joint not far from there.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my cousin owns a restaurant sort of near there.
Is that the Trumplefuck cousin?
No, different cousin.
No, he's not.
Okay. We want to get
that one lives far closer to us, sadly.
We want to get that clown on here. We want to get that Trump humper on here. I mean, with all the things going on, let me ask you this: there's something that came out today. It's Friday, so weird shit comes out. Mm-hmm. And Stephen Smith said that they are talking about getting rid of habeas corpus.
Stephen Miller.
Stephen Miller said that.
Yeah.
And what that basically means is they can pick anybody up for any reason and put them in jail. And that could mean immigrants, and that could be you or me, TJ, because you're a union rep, and I talk shit about Donald Trump every day.
Right.
I don't, when they do things like this, I think they're trying to distract or trying to scare or whatever. The idea that they would somehow find a way to get rid of habeas corpus, that seems like a long shot. I don't know. Maybe you know more about that than I do.
Well, I messaged my attorney friend today about it, and he must have been busy because he only texted me back, "What Constitution?" ? So
yeah,
he's obviously concerned about it. He didn't elaborate, but that seems like a reach, but it's worrisome to me.
Well, it's worrisome when a president of the United States says something like that. But I think along the lines of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, that may be a red line that will cause kind of a a bit of outrage and maybe pushback.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It'll definitely generate a lot of lawsuits. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, no question.
Yeah, and you know how Donnie does on his lawsuits. He really is exemplary. On
He does nothing but take L's. He always loses.
right.
Well, and he lost yesterday or today regarding that student from Tufts University. They had the video. They just picked this woman up. They were all in black clothes, no uniforms. Right. They grabbed her and swept her off and put her in some kind of detention. Well, the judge said today, you must immediately release her. And I don't know what they're going to try to do to get her back in prison, but the fact of the matter is they were asked for evidence that she is illegal or a problem, and they couldn't do it. They acknowledged they had no evidence. So I assume they're going to release her, and she'll probably have some tales to tell.
Yeah, and there's some horror stories about this happening a lot of places. And all I can say about that is if you witness something going on, demand whoever is causing the incident to show their badge or ask them for their ID. Because if they're a law enforcement agent of the government and you ask for their ID, they have to provide their identification.
Particularly if you're a white man or even a white woman, like particularly if you witness something like that and you are fairly protected, or well, maybe I don't know if we're protected and safe anymore at all, but particularly if you are white, we have to stand up.
And I guess the premise, the whole premise of what happened with that young lady is that they never showed any ID. They covered their faces. They could have just been anyone. I mean, that's why you have to, if you see something happening, ask them to show their ID. Because
and I have Ed. I have Ed on the show tomorrow. We spoke earlier today, and he reiterated what he thinks. There aren't enough ICE people to do the things they're doing, and he's convinced there's some, outsourcing to militias or Proud Boys, and these are the people that are acting like ICE agents, which is problematic in its own right.
Yeah, that could be true, but they still have to have some type of credential. That they can't.
Apparently not.
Well, but are people asking? That's the question.
Well, that's a good point. I'm going to pull somebody up here because I have a feeling they're going to talk about something that's a current news story that we haven't got to as yet. This gentleman is called NJ Nightmare.
Oh, I see where this is going.
NJ Nightmare, am I right in suspecting that NJ stands for New Jersey?
Correct.
New Jersey is a nightmare. I totally agree with you.
Right.
New Jersey is a nightmare. Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
I lived there for many years. It is a nightmare. Every time I drag TJ back there, he's like, he hates it.
I flip out when I'm in New Jersey.
Well, no doubt one of the reasons you're chiming in, and if not, I'm going to take you there anyway. Of course, the incident earlier today where the mayor of Newark was scooped up by ICE and detained for a time. That seemed like an absolute shit show. It's got to be an embarrassment for Donald Trump, but I personally think they intentionally did it to try to scare or prove how tough they are. What are you getting from the state itself?
I agree on both points. Newsflash, it just came in. He's been released.
Oh,
he had
great.
a speech just outside the gates of where he was released, and he had quite a few interesting things to say, and you guys can go look that up.
Yes, I saw that.
He was definitely a target for more than one obvious reason. I do believe this was meant to be really, arguably, an act of terror almost, to go after a public official. They knew very well he was the mayor, and they grabbed him anyway, and that's a blatant and bold, that's just defiance.
Right.
That's straight up defiance.
Well, I think that this is going to lead to some problems for some people. Because
I do too.
Because they were in I watched the video, and from what I could gather from the video, I didn't see everything that happened or everything around in the surrounding area. But what I did gather from watching the video is that the mayor of Newark was standing in a public area. He was not breaking into the place. He was standing in a public easement. Okay, so for ICE to grab him off of a public easement and pull him into the facility and detain him is unlawful. So
they went out there. They went after him with 20 armed men, 20 cops or 20 whatever, 20 ICE agents. That's a message. That's a message.
But my point is that it was an unlawful detainment.
Absolutely.
They didn't have probable cause to detain him, because even if let's say he did trespass, even though he's the mayor they have a lease with the city to have this private detention facility that was never set up for ICE in the first place, so they may be violating their lease. But in any event, even if he was trespassing, they would have to tell him to leave. Right. And then he was outside of the fence line in the public easement, and they went outside the facility, detained him, took him in the facility. So if the district attorney is smart, I would think that they violated his rights because they detained him unlawfully. And I would think that the district attorney could pursue a state charge against whoever detained him, and they could be arrested for basically kidnapping somebody because there was an unlawful detainment.
It's an unlawful detainment, and if these people aren't credentialed, I would think that'd be the only thing they could get them for is kidnapping. And if it's a state issue, they got all kinds of problems because Donald Trump can't do a fucking thing about it. Now, what I heard about this situation was, the administration, everybody was coming out. Well, he was obstructing. It was a protest. It wasn't a protest at all. There was not that many people there for a protest. What he was there for, and what 3 sitting members of Congress were there, those are the witnesses, 3 sitting members of Congress, it was about oversight. Apparently there's some concerns that this detention center is not operating legally. So, of course, the members of Congress have a right to walk in anytime they fucking want, anytime they want to look at it, and they were kept out. They were delayed. They were diverted from it. They were obviously trying to hide something. And then when they saw the mayor there, they thought, oh, this will be good. We got a judge. Now we'll get a mayor. We'll scare some people. Right. But they're not very bright people, so they fucked up. And it's going to be interesting to see what the ramifications of this is.
Well, I hope that the local prosecutor does something, because they did violate state law, and there's nothing that's going to, that Donald Trump can do or any of them can do to prevent them from being prosecuted under state law. So hopefully that, I'm sure the mayor has already called the district attorney and said, hey, listen, something needs to be done here. And I'm sure that's probably on the radar with their office. And they're going to find out the names of these people who unlawfully detained the mayor, and heads are going to roll. Because just because they're federal agents, if they do something that breaks the law, they lose their qualified immunity, or they're not immune from prosecution.
TJ, my man, you guys, I agree with you completely, but the more pessimistic side of me says these cops will not suffer any real repercussions of any sort directly to them. This will get tied up in the courts. Listen, the cops knew. They knew what they were doing. They knew that there was nothing going to stick. It wasn't about formally charging him. It was about breaking balls and showing who's in power, and they just didn't want him there. And a nice show of force for the cameras. It was all to say might equals right as far as these guys are concerned, because that's the attitude they're going by. They know that Danny Trump will protect them.
My best hope with all of this stuff is that the Democrats are banking it up, and they will freaking prosecute these people if it has to take 4 years till he's out of office. That they will freaking do something about it at some point. If they can't do it now, and if they try to do it now and it doesn't work, that they will bank it up and they will do something about it in the future.
Right. Yeah. But the bottom line is, even if you're a federal agent of any agency, if you commit a crime, if you if you're a federal U.S. Marshal or whatever, and you assault somebody, the local police can arrest you. I mean, you're not immune from local and state laws. So if they unlawfully detained him off public property in jurisdiction where they have no power to arrest him, then they're fucked. Because
and Trump has no power to pardon them or delay it or anything.
And luckily Newark's a pretty blue. They're pretty blue. So they always have been. So
Newark is diehard blue. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I love when I get stuck there on a layover.
We've got actually it's barely running now. We've had massive delays for weeks now. The systems are breaking down because they won't update the computers that run the trafficking. People walked off the job in protest. The place is a mess. We've had a second computer blackout last night.
Are you from Newark?
No, I'm not. It's they're saying don't go to Newark. Like, if you got to come to this part of the country, go to JFK, go to LaGuardia, go to Teterboro. Yeah. Although I heard that's having kind of problems too. But the worst case is Newark. Stay the fuck away.
Are you from North Jersey or South Jersey? I won't judge you.
I'm originally from Essex County. Now I'm living in Morris. But I did listen for a while. I was living up in Sussex County, what we locals call East Bumblefuck, and that's what we call it, East Bumblefuck. But anyway, it's so hardcore Trump territory up there. It's fucking terrifying.
Right.
It is absolutely terrifying. I feel like I'm moving down south.
It's like one of the worst. That's one of the worst areas of Jersey as far as politics goes. Honestly.
Upper North and South Jersey are both Trump territory. We got the middle, and we're holding fast because we have the population. That's why we keep winning in the electoral college vote. We just have the numbers.
That's kind of the way it is in Minnesota too. We are blue, but we have plenty of red pockets out there. Some East Bumblefuck too in Minnesota.
Well, I can see that in Minnesota, but this is New Jersey, East Coast.
Yeah, East Coast.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I lived in Bayonne for a few years, and then I lived in Colts Neck, so I kind of experienced both of the situations.
Colts Neck? Where hell is that?
Colts Neck is it's by it's about a half an hour from Asbury Park, inland.
Okay, that's way south. Okay.
Yeah, it's south. Yeah, it's a rich land territory.
I mean, we have plenty of debates in New Jersey: pork roll or Taylor ham. Route 1 and 9 or Route 1 and 9.
Your favorite diner.
The Ritz in Livingston, which was also on The Sopranos, by the way. But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
It is what it is, man.
I appreciate it, NJ Nightmare. Thank you for coming and bringing us up to date. That was a story I wanted to talk about because it's plenty fucked up. And it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. But thank you for joining us. I appreciate it immensely. Feel free to come back anytime.
No problem, guys. You have a great night. You have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you. So NJ Nightmare with us. See, we got, we're going to pull up Oliver's mom early.
Cool.
You know, she's going to have some things to say.
Hey, Kim.
Oliver's mom, how you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, I missed a little bit of the beginning. Have you talked about the habeas corpus and how he's trying to rescind that?
Yeah, just a little bit, but feel free to wade into that.
Yeah,
we're always open to hearing more insight.
I was researching it a little bit. Unfortunately, they may have precedent to do it, which I think is bogus, but it's actually been enacted 4 times in the U.S. in our history. During the Civil War, during the Reconstruction, and then evidently in 1905 during the insurrection of the Philippines, and then again after the attack on Pearl Harbor. That was the most recent one. And so it's been done. They've just, there is precedent to do it, but I hope, someone decides to put their foot down and not let it happen.
But it has to involve an invasion, though. And there is no invasion.
Yeah, yes, you're correct, but they're claiming there is, and that's the problem.
Right. Well, they'll lie and then make it go to court like they always do.
Right. Yeah, and I was talking to my mom earlier, and I haven't seen anything of it anywhere. I don't know if any of you have heard anything about it, but she said that a boat capsized off the coast of Florida near Mar-a-Lago, a few miles up the coast from there, that had
Really?
25 immigrants on it that were trying to get into the country, and that they've only found 10 of them. I can't find it anywhere. She says that she saw it somewhere.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and I just
I
tried
tell
to
you
look it
what,
up.
I would think that would be a big news story and you'd hear about it. I got to be honest, there's so many things you see on the internet, and just because some dumb fuck says it doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah,
I've heard some things on TikTok and then see other respected creators repeat it because they didn't check into it because it sounded like a cool story.
yeah,
And typically they're wrong. I wouldn't buy into that as yet. Why would immigrants be in a boat off of West Palm Beach? That
exactly.
doesn't
That's
make
what
any
I
sense.
thought.
No.
Yeah, because I was just wondering if anybody else had heard it, because I just tried to research it myself and I didn't see a darn thing. But
Why would they go to the eastern side of Florida when they could, cut across the Gulf and get in the western side of Florida? That doesn't even make any sense.
exactly, and I like I said, I've tried to research it. I didn't see anything on it, but that's the type of thing that MAGA's using to scare people.
Right.
They're putting stories out there like that, and they're trying to scare people, and make people think that we are being invaded by a boat off the coast.
Right.
No.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Well, that's what Donald Trump does. Anytime he gets called out on something, he conjures up some bullshit to prove his point. I'll give you an example. Somebody was questioning him about, well, you talk about these deals. We haven't heard one deal yet. Well, we don't have to do deals. We just wait for them to do what they're going to do for us, and we swim in the wealth. But then within 2 days after that, oh my God, we cut a great deal with England, which is absolutely a bullshit deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a deal. It's not been finalized. They still have a 10% tariff. It's bullshit.
Right.
It's just hype and bullshit. And that's what Donald Trump does. He tries to support what he's lying about by coming up with more lies. And, immigrants hitting the beaches at Mar-a-Lago, that would be a great story for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if that came out of the Republican side of things.
Right. Yeah. Now, I was in a waiting room earlier today, and I actually got to hear a conversation and respond to it a little bit with a couple of veterans, and they were talking about how horrible things are. I got the impression that both of them were Democrats and had voted for Kamala, and they were just very, very unhappy about things. And
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, they're one thing I asked them how they felt about renaming Veterans Day. And I think they're using that as World War I Victory Day or something like that.
Yeah.
And one
VJ Day or something.
Yeah, one of the gentlemen I was speaking to was a Vietnam vet. And I thought I was going to get the answer that I was looking for. They're very upset about it. It's almost like they're discounting the rest of veterans. We've taken Veterans, we've turned it into a celebration for just one war, and we're not celebrating Vietnam veterans, Korean veterans, Gulf War veterans, any veteran in their eyes, which is what I thought I was going to get when I talked to some veterans about the situation. So yeah, they're a little irritated about that, and then they're concerned about if something goes down and Trump decides to put, say to the military, you need to go into this state against our own citizens. They're afraid that like half are going to say, okay, we're going to listen to this guy, and the other half are going to go, no, we know that's against the law. You can't put us against our own people. And they see that as a dividing point. If that happens, it's going to be a definite dividing point.
Yeah, when I was talking to Ed about that earlier today for tomorrow's show, he said, what can the courts do? And the courts can say, listen, if there's no other way to do it with federal agents or federal marshals, they could go to the military and say, listen, this is unconstitutional. This is divisive against the country. You need to send the military to the White House and settle this thing. And he said it's conceivable that half would and half wouldn't, and then we're in the middle of a civil war, which is terrible to think about, but it's certainly conceivable given the circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. Um, then I sort of on a little bit of a lighter note. What do you think of the new pope?
I like the new pope. I
He's
like
dope.
the dope. The pope is dope.
Yes.
Yeah. Um,
Did you hear what Donnie thinks of the new pope?
I haven't heard anything specific.
Well,
Um,
he said that he or JD said that he is a woke Marxist.
oh,
That'll go well with the Catholics.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, see, I was looking at, I watched the smoke and all that kind of stuff because I happened to turn the TV on at just the right time and everything. And, then I talked to my mom, who I've told everybody before is MAGA. And the first thing she said to me, well, he's a Republican. I said, Mom, what do you mean he's a Republican? Well, he is registered Republican, but that doesn't mean anything because he could have been registered Republican as a young adult, and it wasn't until maybe 15, 20 years ago that the Catholic Church came out and said that they didn't want anybody, any of their priests or any other cardinals, bishops, taking on any political views. So, yeah, he may be registered Republican, but he's not conservative. I mean, some things,
Not at all.
yeah, but yeah, he's not conservative from what I can see.
Well,
Well,
he's
first of all, he hasn't lived in the United States for 45 years. So whether
So
he's
he's
Republican
not
or not,
voting anyway.
and
Yeah.
by the way, he's Hispanic, so I'm sure that
Yeah,
whatever's going
was
on
he
right now
Peruvian?
is not squaring with him. Yeah, he's
He's
Peruvian.
a dual citizen. Yes,
Yeah.
he has American by birth, and then he picked up Peruvian citizenship when he was over there doing missionary work. Yes,
and I hate to tell you this, he's also got a Haitian background.
yes.
So he may
Why,
not be
why
totally
do you
white.
hate to tell us that? We're fine with that.
We're fine with that, but I know the Republicans are going, oh shit, not Haitians, because Donald
Yeah.
Trump was going to run some Haitians out recently. It was funny. I saw his brother being interviewed in Chicago, and they asked him some questions about his brother, the Pope, and he said, well, yeah, he's a big Cubs fan, so that's good to know. The Pope's a Cubs fan. And the guy asked him, he said, listen, when you talk to him next time, are you going to call him the Pope? He goes, nah, just call him Robbie. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Robbie's probably his family, and I think he's called Bob a lot.
Father Bob is what he
Father
was
Bob.
known
Yep.
as.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I think he's going to do okay. I think there's some things that he's going to stick to the Catholic preachings and all of that, and then there are others where he's going to be more like Pope Francis was. And
Yeah,
he-
I don't think he's quite as progressive as Pope Francis, but I think he's a reasonable guy. And if you're excited about him being registered Republican, how excited are you about him talking shit prior to being Pope about Donald Trump and JD Vance? Because
Oh, I
that's
know.
what he did, and that's why Donald Trump and JD don't like him, because the Pope had the audacity to say something negative about them.
Yeah.
The one thing is that, like, if you look through history, like, when they choose a pope, one of the things that they consider is who needs what country needs a pope to be from their country the most.
Exactly.
Like, what country is like that distressed?
Yes.
We're at that point, people. We are at that fucking
Yeah.
point
Exactly.
that we have to have the first fucking American pope because of Donald Trump.
Exactly.
That's how fucking bad it is.
I mean, it's a shame that we lost Pope Francis, but that's one of the first things I was saying was that, they tend to choose a pope from an area of the world that's having conflict
Yeah.
at times.
At what point would that ever have been America in like reality? Like,
Exactly.
really?
Exactly. I was not surprised one bit when he came out and they announced who he was and where he was from. Not one bit.
Me either.
I was very surprised that American was picked to be Pope. I never thought that would be
I
the case.
was
But
not,
I'm not
because
Catholic, so what do I know?
Yeah.
because I knew that, like, there's something that has to be done, and they are. I really feel like Francis. I honestly could tell you, Francis probably said, "Freaking take the American guy, Take the American card before you go.
Yeah, probably.
I mean,
And you know what? I'll take a middle of the road Pope over that piece of shit Kenneth Copeland any day of the week. He's an evil motherfucker, that guy. Just looking at him, he's evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got some demons. There's no question about it. Well, Kim, thank you very much for coming on.
Oh,
Thanks,
no problem.
Kim.
Thank you. Thanks for having
You're
me.
welcome you're welcome anytime. Thank you very much.
Hey,
Yeah, the
Mike,
Pope. Yeah.
I got some bad news for you.
Oh, what?
Rebecca and I are moving out of the country.
Seriously?
We moved to Costa Rica?
No, we're moving to the country of Mattel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
the
there
country
you
of
go.
Mattel.
So
I would
just so you know.
definitely move to the country of Mattel.
Well, yeah, and Donald Trump's moving out of the country to the island of misfit toys. Or
You
misfit
can't put them there with
trumplefucks.
those
You
sweet
can't
little
torture
toys.
those poor toys like
Those sweet
that.
little toys.
I just want to say something. Maggie's Farm 2 said, Boomer, we're genuinely concerned for you all down there. This just reeks of pre-World War II. Don't worry about me. I'm gonna be fine. I have no problems. Nobody threatening me. Nobody doing anything like that. I do talk some shit, but I'm relatively small potatoes by some. However, there are some people that are suggesting that Aaron Parnas should be arrested. Which is absolutely ridiculous because he hasn't done anything illegal. He's just reporting the news.
Arrested for what? Free speech?
Well, apparently that is a problem. Donna Knight says that regarding the ICE detention center in Newark, she heard of violating a fire code and no permits, etc., which wouldn't be surprising with the likes of Donald Trump. User whatever says something must be done. The governor of New Jersey is already outraged about it, and I hope he acts now. Yeah, I hope he does too. Somebody's got to do something about that. I'm going to pull up.
Can you
Lori.
pull up this gym guy? Oh my God, this gym guy has been like begging to join, begging. Jim Aldo Thompson. He's got to be next. He's begging.
Okay, I see him. I'll pull him up after Lori. So Jim, you just hang on there. Hey, Lori, how you doing? What's on your mind?
I didn't mean to, I pressed it by accident.
That's okay.
Okay, that's okay.
We'll still talk to you.
What are you pissed
hi.
off about? What are you pissed off about? How the kids?
My kids are good.
Good to hear.
I'm worried about my children, though.
I think we all are.
I'm very worried about my children.
What part of the country are you in?
I'm in New Jersey.
Oh.
Why is that so surprising?
Love
not.
New
Well,
Jersey.
it's not surprising. We just had somebody from New Jersey on, and we have the big story from New Jersey. So,
They let the mayor out. They released him.
Yeah.
okay, that's good to hear.
They released him.
That's good to hear. You do have a little New Jersey accent, though.
I actually come from New York.
Well, then it's a New York accent.
It's probably a New York accent.
You kind of sound like Stella Maggs from TikTok.
I don't know who that is.
Well, you should find her because she's great.
Okay.
She's from New York, but she's a tough cookie. Well, I appreciate you coming on anyway. I tell you what, if you think of something you want to talk about, by all means, just come on back. We'll put you up and we'll talk some shit about New Jersey.
Okay, I will do. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Mike, did you see this? Did you see the thing about that representative from Wyoming, the Republican, I think her name is Harriet Hageman. I don't know how to pronounce it, but like she said, she said the thing about like she said that there was sewage off the coast of San Diego, and that's why it needed to be named Gulf of America instead of Gulf of Mexico because
It's so stupid.
like she has zero clue about. Like she did not pay attention in geography.
Yeah, she didn't
whatsoever.
pass. She didn't pass the 6th grade,
Like,
obviously.
First of all, she thinks San Diego is in Mexico, and second of all, she thinks that San Diego is anywhere near the Gulf of Mexico.
It's not even. It's so bad.
Well, they do have water, so they got that
Yeah.
one common thing.
It's not even close to the same body of water.
No.
There's an entire country that separates San Diego from the
Yeah.
Gulf of Mexico.
It's fine.
Well,
It's
I'm
silly.
pulling. Okay, Rebecca, you said that Jim was anxious to get on. So, Jim, you are on. What's on your mind?
Hey y'all, how you guys doing tonight?
Good.
I'm doing great.
So
What's
I
up?
I live in upstate New York, but believe it or not, it's MAGA country out here.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I also I'm not even a Democrat specifically. Like I'm probably further left than Democrats are. And what my primary question is like, what are we gonna do? You know, like
Well, there's only so much we can do. First of all, fight back. Secondly, win in 2026, and then try to straighten this shit out. That's about all we can do at this point, short of a civil war.
but I mean, like candidates like Gavin Newsom and people like that, like aren't the solution. Like they're
No,
only
I agree.
like they're Republican light.
Yeah, I think a lot of these people like Gavin Newsom and some of these other fucks are just trying to straddle the line a little bit. They want to not piss off the Republicans and still get the Democratic vote. And I think you're absolutely right about that. We're not at a point in history where we can do that anymore. I've suggested that. Well, I live in Minnesota. You live in upstate New York, so you can probably relate to this. When you're driving down the road on an icy road and you slip to go to the right, what do? You crank it all the way left, and then you crank it all the way right until you get into the middle. So I think at this point, in order to get us out of this bullshit, we do have to go a little farther left to ultimately end up more toward the middle.
But I think that like they think the solution is what Kamala Harris did in taking people like Dick Cheney and
Yeah.
his daughter,
Liz Cheney.
being like
Yeah.
Liz Cheney. I mean, like those people are always going to vote right. They're not going to come to your side. So, like,
No.
pandering to these people isn't going to make any bit of difference. While at the same time, like, she completely dismissed, like, the problems that are going on over in Gaza and the
Yeah.
young people who are protesting against that and completely dismissing them. And that's why she lost the election. And I feel as though we're going to do that again.
Absolutely.
I don't think we're going to do that again, I hope. I mean, especially when you've got people like J.B. Pritzker and some of those folks that are willing to fight. I don't know if he's far enough left for you, but I think the important thing come 2028 is we win. Regardless of who it takes, we got to win in order to start to right the ship some. Hopefully they have learned from their mistakes. Kamala Harris ran a good campaign, but the Democrats fucked up in a lot of ways. Liz Cheney was one of them.
Yep.
We've got to appeal to the people and do more for the people and show them how we're going to do more for the people. So I think you're right on track, Jim, that we've got some fixes we need in our Democratic Party. Let me ask you this. This gentleman Hogg, who wants to primary even the safe people in the Democratic Party for the 2026 midterms. Are you on board for that? Do you think that's a good idea? Get some new blood in there?
Who, David Hogg?
Yeah.
So I'm here and there. Like I said, like I vote Democrat, but like I'm left of Democrat. And,
I got you.
And like Karl Marx said, any attempt to disarm the working class should be frustrated by any means.
Yeah. Right.
I understand the trauma that this kid went through, and that's not acceptable. But at the end of the day, like if we legitimately think that we are going up against like a fascist regime, like protesting and holding.
You still there, Jim?
I think
we
he,
lost.
he ju- Jimmy, he jumped out of the app.
No, it just my phone closed on me.
Oh,
But like, if we legitimately think that the Republicans are right, Donald Trump, and the things that they're doing is a fascist regime, and they are trying to coalesce and like make a totalitarian government, like holding
Right.
signs and protesting isn't going to be effective. Like, we have to take legitimate action.
So when you say action, what do you mean? What do you think needs to be done?
I can't say that on this app, but like, people need to free themselves. Like, trans people aren't going to get any freedom through this government, through this state, unless they take it upon themselves to establish themselves as a legitimate people. Like,
So so what you're saying is there needs to be a more aggressive effort in taking back the country,
I'm
which
saying that if we legitimately think that this is a fascist government, what do we do to fascist governments?
I agree. I agree. That's a good point. When we see some of the things that have happened, whether it be January 6th to all the other shit, if these people were coming from another country, what would happen? And we would be at war. That's just the fact. We would be at war.
Yeah.
It's a little different when it's domestic, but it's still the same kind of threat. So that's something you have to consider.
So at the end of the day, like, I like, back when I was young, like, I'm 34 now, but when I was young before I had kids, like, I was very active and like protesting and getting out there, and like, I went to Trump's first inauguration. I went to
Right.
the RNC back in the day, and I actually, after January 6th happened, because they were caught off guard, I had the FBI show up to my house because they were so spooked. But
Right.
at the end of the day, that means that they know who I am. That means that, like, I'm perceived as a threat, even if I'm trying to live my life and trying to
Right.
raise my kids.
So you're
You know,
concerned for your family.
but like, they could, like, I'm not an immigrant. Like, right now, they're not going to come for me. But who's to say 2 years down the road, I'm not going to have some black vans roll up in my driveway in the middle of the night, you know?
Let me ask you, what are your feeling about your peers, your millennial peers? Do you feel they have the right idea? Are they ready to fight, or are you disappointed by how millennials are reacting?
I think that, like, we have been so conditioned and trampled upon. Like, my wife has a college education, like,
Hmm.
smartest person I know. Went to college, did what she had to, but like, still doesn't like have like I'm the breadwinner and I didn't even go to college. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, she did everything she was supposed to, and didn't, like, she couldn't make what she needed to. But at the end of the day, like, people just want to be comfortable. People just want to be able to live their lives in, like, just peace. And
Well, yeah, well, therein lies the problem that I didn't realize until I sat down and talked to my son, too. Yeah, as an older guy whose life is pretty much behind him and my future is pretty well set, nothing's much going to change. You look at the economy, you look at the stock market, you look at the unemployment rate, and you think, God, things are pretty good. But what I come to realize after talking to some millennials and Gen Zs for that matter is the real problem is at the younger people's situation. You want to stick them with their ridiculous student loans and they won't be able to buy homes. You make them pay a ton of money to go to college, like your wife, and then you send them out in the world and they can't get a job making enough to rent an apartment. Therein lies the problem with the Democratic Party. It's real great to say the economy is great for the wealthy people or the upper upper middle class, but it's the middle class and the lower people that need the help. And the Democrats need to understand that, and they need to attack that somehow. So I understand your plight, and it's the one thing that bothers me most of all. Because, like I tell people, I don't do this for me because I'm cool, I'm fine. But I have sons, and I have a daughter-in-law, and I have grandchildren, and I'm worried to death about them, what they're going to be stuck with, whether it be a fascist government or just an economy that doesn't apply to them.
Well, I think even at the end of the day, like I like I said, I live in like red country. Like
Right.
most of the people I know are Trump supporters. My neighbors are Trump supporters. It's not going to stop me from like plowing their driveway and just being a decent person to them, even if I
Right.
disagree with them. But at the end of the day, like people just want comfort and stability. And even if that's not like available to them, like we've been conditioned so much, like people aren't going to even me, like I'm a radical, I'm a leftist, but even me, like
Yeah.
I'm not going to disrupt the life that I have, the things that I have to take care of, the responsibilities that I have to make noise to try and like overthrow the systems that I don't agree with because it's so much bigger than me.
Well, that's the problem most people run into, especially if you're talking about creators or young people. You've got children to worry about. You've got a family to worry about. You speak out and cause trouble, it's going to affect your livelihood. It's going to affect your popularity in your community. And I understand that. That's why, with somebody like me or even somebody like TJ and Rebecca, we don't have those issues to worry about. So we are the ones that should be speaking out for those people who aren't in a position to do that. So I can appreciate your situation. You do what you can. You fight
So
the fight you can fight. But to stand out there in public and expose yourself, that makes no sense when you have children.
like even like back like I want to say like 5 maybe even almost 10 years now because the more I look at it the more that the time passes by. I'm not as young as I used to be. But like
No, you're good.
I was living in the house and I have my convictions and I hung an American flag upside down outside my house during
Yeah.
Donald Trump's like uh, first term, and
Right.
uh, like I had my sister-in-law go to a bar up and around me, and there were people talking about like putting a torch to my house, like
Wow.
burning it down.
Jesus.
Like even something simple as like speaking out, like put you in danger. And like I have a 6-year-old daughter now. Like I don't agree with like saying the Pledge of Allegiance, but I'm not gonna like put that on her. But I also know that if she decided not to do that, like she would face the repercussions. And that's
Right.
sad because I'm just trying to raise like conscientious, like think for themselves kids. And in this climate, like that's not acceptable.
Well, Jim, I will tell you this: at 34 years of old, 30 years of age, your priority is your family and protecting your family. I understand you want to speak out or show out your dismay, but if it puts you in a bad situation, given where you live, I would suggest you don't do it. Protect your family first. I know you have convictions and I know you have beliefs, but the first and foremost thing you have to do is protect your family. There are people like me or TJ or Rebecca that will scream this from the mountaintops, and there's not much they can do to them. Let me ask you this: you're in a red country, or red district. A lot of Trumplafucks there. Are they still as loud and proud and as strong as they always have, given what's going on in this country now?
Well, yeah, they're just proud people. Well, the thing is what I've discovered. Like I said, I'm not a Democrat. I'm left of Democrat. I'm not even a fan of Democrats. And what I see is like I was born and raised like poor white trash. And the
Okay.
problem the problem that I see is like Democrats, as much as they protect like workers' rights as much as they can. I mean, they're not perfect, or
No.
like trying to provide for like working class people, but it's like like talking down to people, like
Yeah,
coming
I
coming
agree.
coming from that ivory tower and stuff. Like nobody likes that, and
No.
I think that they don't specifically vote for Donald Trump because he's Donald Trump. They vote for Donald Trump because he's not a liberal talking down to them, telling them that they're uneducated and that they're yokel.
Yeah, and that's the problem they have to fix. The question is, will they fix it? And I think David Hogg might be on track with getting rid of some of the standard people in Congress that are Democrats that are do nothing or elitist of sort. We've got to change the whole climate of the Democratic Party if they want to appeal to the people that are going to elect them. And having Donald Trump be a piece of shit apparently isn't enough for him to lose.
So one of my favorite sayings is like I said, I'm not a liberal. I'm more of like an anarcho-communist. And there's like a lot of like theory and like books you can read, and things that you can learn from
Right,
like those dialects and stuff. And I say
right.
to people that like you are more useful with a pair of jumper cables in your hand than you are with a copy of like Das Kapital, which Marx wrote,
Yeah,
in your
yeah,
hand. If somebody breaks down on the side of the road.
yeah. I agree with you. I agree
And
with you.
that's
Well, you seem to have your heart and your mind in the right spot. It's just a matter we live in a world that's fucking bizarro world. It's upside down, and it's going to take a while to get back to where somebody like you is normal.
Well, I even think like back in the day, like when I was like a early or late teenager, early 20 something, like I used to love punk rock. I used to like wear a leather jacket, have green hair, spiked all the hell.
I knew
And
I liked you for a reason, Jim.
but like now, like I wear like flannels and jeans, and my heart is still radical, and my politics are still radical. But like somebody who is like living in the country is going to approach you like if you look like an outsider, or like if you look
Right.
like they're going to.
Jim, I
Yeah,
always
you
say,
got to fit in.
as an old punk rocker, I always say, once you start getting a little older, punk rock becomes more in your heart and less in your style.
My wife always says with like my style and stuff like that now. She's like 20-year-old you like beat up like you now, and I was like, but I'm like more punk in my heart than I ever was then. You know what I mean? It was mostly style back then.
You
Absolutely,
know,
it was all
it,
superficial back when we were kids. Now it's all in your heart.
it's funny how generations are different. You guys think punk rock and you dress more for what's going on today. I'm an old white guy, grew up in the '70s, and I dress like fucking yacht rock. So that's what I got going for me.
TJ wears suits like all the time, like, and he used to have a giant freaking mohawk. So
That is true.
it's very true.
Wow. Never had a mohawk. I will say that. Jim, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime. Anytime you see us doing a live, just chime in. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks y'all for having me.
Thanks,
All right.
Jim.
Thank you. Well, Jim wanted to come on. He got on, and I'm glad he did because he's an interesting guy from an interesting place.
It,
Um,
it's nice to hear from
Go ahead.
somebody who has like a background in kind of chaos, and he's like realized that like now he has a family and he has to protect his family and his roots, and it's nice.
Right, exactly. Well, we're going to bring in Pamela now. We'll see if she's ready, willing, and able to talk to us. Some of these people, Pamela, how are you doing?
Hi, I've been listening to you for a while, Rational Boomer. And I listen to your
Thank you very much.
podcast. Yeah, I listen to your podcast and everything. Um,
I appreciate that.
yeah, and I'm 68, so I'm just a little bit older than you. And so when you talk about the 70s and the what have you, and this growing up in the 70s, I'm right there with you, buddy. Um,
So I'm 65 years old and you're 68 years old. So that
mhm,
means if we were in high school together, you'd be the hot senior that wouldn't talk to me.
exactly.
Okay, long as we got that down.
You little peon, you, that type of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
exactly.
But that's
Exactly.
what the high school mood was back in, when I was in high school, it was like the seniors just didn't talk to you. Maybe the
Trust
boys
me, I
once
know.
yeah, maybe the boys would once in a while, might look at the freshman girl, but not, like, mm. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
my biggest thing I think right now is all of our rights, and with this, them trying to push them suing, John Roberts is a big like thing for me. I'm thinking
Yeah.
I mean, the tariffs are awful. Me and my husband's been buying up groceries and stocking up and doing whatever. I've been trying to tell my kids and my grandkids to do it, but um, my grandson's 30, um, and he's got a family of his own, and they just think they know everything. And of course my daughter is just pure MAGA, and I can't talk to her at all. I just can't talk to her at all. And and all she wants to do is make excuses about this, about that. And I learned that I couldn't talk to her. I was trying to talk to her one day, and I said, Dee, I did not raise you like this. I did not raise you. I raised you to be a critical thinker, think for yourself, something that you smell a skunk,
Right.
investigate, whatever. So I don't know why you've fallen. Well, the guy she lives with for 19 years, I know he's off the cliff. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, so sometimes I think she just goes along with him to just not to create havoc. But
Keep the
anyway,
peace.
yeah, she told me when I was trying to talk to her one day, and she goes, "I just couldn't vote for Kamala. She just lies so much." And
What?
I just stopped right then because I realized, okay, your guy was clocked at 36,000 lies in the last term, and you thought
Yeah.
Kamala lied too much. So I stopped talking after that, and I don't talk. There's not much I can even talk to her about, and it's so sad for me because she and I was always so close. Because it was like when she and I, like, it was just me and her against the world type thing. So
Right.
yeah, and we had it rough. There's a couple times that we really had it rough, and so it's kind of like I miss that part of her, and I miss her good heart, and I miss, but I can't help, like, not look at her and go, "You're voting against my Social Security, my medic," and you knew how long I worked so hard and so long to get to this place to be able to retire, and you voted against my shit, and it doesn't seem to bother you if I lose my Social Security, if I lose my Medicare or anything. And
Yeah, that says
my
a lot. And she's voting against herself and her kids too. So
yeah,
that's
yes,
unbelievable.
and so like, my husband's son and daughter-in-law, same thing, and they have a
Wow.
like transgender son now, but
Jesus
How do they
Christ.
when
square that?
Oh
I
my
I
God.
I don't know. I can't be around them, but when I'm around the granddaughter, and I'll look right at her, and I looked right at her. We were sitting around my kitchen table, and I looked right at the the daughter and my grandson now. But I said, I voted for your rights. I voted to make sure that you could live in a peaceful world. And they were sitting right there at the table, and they didn't say
Right.
anything. They didn't even like to try to take up for themselves, for voting for Trump. And so as all of this comes around, what I worry about most is all the judicial things. A lot
Yeah.
of this, if we win in 26 in the House and the Senate, we can fix a lot of this. But if we lose the judicial right now, we're in a whole bunch of hot water that we won't be able to repair. And
Yeah.
that's what I worry about more than the tariffs, more than the daily shit show that goes on. Um, the headlines coming at you. I don't care about the Gulf of America. I don't care about, all of these places. I do care about them picking people up off the streets, whether they be citizens or not.
Yeah.
And so, I just worry about him not following what the Supreme Court says. This is all the scariest part of it for me, because if the judicial goes down, there's nothing holding them back then. Nothing.
Yeah. But well, there is something holding them back. There's us.
Well, yeah.
And what that means, I don't exactly know, but I just get the feeling that there's got to be some kind of break, something that happens that switches the tide a little bit. I think because you're roughly around my age, you probably feel the same way I do. I'm 65, you're 68. What's going to happen to us is going to happen to us. Our time is
Mm-hmm.
much shorter,
Yep.
but I don't want to leave this earth leaving my kids and grandkids in a shittier place than when I showed up. And I showed up in the 60s, so it was pretty shitty then. But it's going to come down to the point where millennials and Gen Zs, they're going to determine their destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not much we can do it if they choose badly.
Yeah, I was so impressed when I seen all those protesters and how many of them are age and older out there
Yeah,
protesting with their signs. They might have brought their chairs and sit down with their signs, but I was just like, "You go, Grandma," because
yeah,
I
absolutely.
got a 5-year-old great grandson, and I
Wow.
worry about what kind of world we're leaving for him, the debt and all of that junk, you know. And I'm like, that this is what worries me is mostly about the whole judicial part, because I'm just so afraid if he stops obeying the courts, or the law, there's no law and order of any kind, you know, that the cops just think that they get free willy because he's saying I'll give him immunity, that kind of talk where then the cops can go, oh, I'll get immunity. Trump said so. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just the whole mindset of it. Frankly,
Well,
we need a team of retired SEAL Team 6.
well, yeah, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you on that. You hope it doesn't come to that point, but when you do the things you're doing and hurt as many people as you're hurting, that is something that, whether you want it or not, is something that's inevitable. When people don't have anywhere to go or any choices, they react, and they react seriously. And I'm concerned about that prospect. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that. Um,
Well, you remember
yeah,
back in the 60s
yeah,
when
yeah.
people started getting really, really, really upset over the Vietnam War. And
Yep.
I mean, there was bashing in the street. Of course, I live in Ohio, where Kent State went on, and
Right.
what have you. So yeah, I'm like, well, hi, I don't want to take up all of your time. It was nice to meet you, and
Nice to meet you too, and thank you for coming.
yeah,
Thanks,
I
Pamela.
listen to you all the time.
I appraight it.
All right,
Get your
love.
kids to listen to me, and maybe we can straighten their shit out.
Yeah, I don't know. All right,
Probably
Hank.
not. Probably
Have a
not.
good
Thank you very
night.
much. You too.
Bye bye.
Rebecca and TJ, that's one of the biggest problems. When we get through this thing and when everything settles down, we're going to have families that have been torn apart, and it's going to be hard to put them back together, if not impossible. That's one of the downsides when this is all done. That doesn't mean those rifts in the family are over.
No, of course not. And it's going to be harder to put those personal family relationships back together than it's going to be able than for us to put the countries back together.
Yeah, it's worrisome to say the least. I've lost a couple of
But
family members, but not as many as a lot of people have, and I
But
know that's hard on people.
do we really want to?
No,
In some cases, do we really want to? Because what when you show that much hatred and your lack of empathy for distressed people, senior citizens, children with cancer, like what? How much is a bridge too far? That's what I want to know. I mean,
about 2 years ago,
yeah,
2 years ago, the bridge was too far.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, do we really want to like rekindle those relationships if we know that that kind of evil is in the hearts of people that we used to respect?
Well, you're absolutely right about that. And people have said, well, you've got to come together. When they finally realize they're wrong, you've
No.
got to welcome them in. But here's the thing, I can't trust them.
Right.
They made poor choices. They pounded on those choices until they couldn't anymore. And the only reason they don't think like that anymore is because they were forced to. So I don't have a lot of trust in them. If they fucked up that decision, they'll fuck up another decision. And like I told Jim, your main priority is to protect your family. And if somebody's a threat to your family, the safety or whatever, you got to shut them out. My father was, I didn't talk to him for 25 years before he died. And it wasn't because I was so angry with him. I'd gotten over all the stuff, but I knew what kind of bullshit he brings to any situations he's in. And I didn't want that darkness over my family. And I'm glad I went that way. And it's a sad situation when you don't talk to your parents for 25 years, but you got to make the best choice for your family now because that is your priority.
I agree. I'm fairly lucky that nobody in my family, my close family and my close friend group, I think, voted for Trump. I mean, there's a few that I know did, but I think they're just misguided or stupid. But to me, if you voted against the like basic human rights and human decency, go fuck yourself. Seriously, go fuck
Yeah,
yourself.
I agree. I
don't
agree.
care. And I do get like that we have to we do have to kind of as a community welcome some people back into the fold to make it in the future because we need their votes. We need them to realize their mistakes. We need that, but they're not going to be my friends. They're not going to be my friends.
No,
They're going to be
no.
acquaintances. They're not going to be in my inner circle ever again.
Yeah,
Well, it's
absolutely.
kind of like after World War II, you wore that SS uniform, but you took it off. But people remember that you wore it.
Absolutely. I'm pulling somebody else in here. All I can see is Queen of CG. Queen, are you there?
Hi, Mike. It's Christy Levac, Portland, Oregon.
Oh, Christy. Christy's been on the
Hey.
show many times, many times.
Hey,
You know her
Christy,
if you
how are
listen to the
you?
Rational Boomer podcast. It's Christy. Christy, I'm glad you got through.
Hi, thanks. I'm glad as well. I mean, obviously, being on your podcast, I listen to your podcast, but TJ and Rebecca, it's nice to kind of talk to you live. I
Yeah,
listen to
You too,
you as
Christy.
well.
absolutely.
Cool.
Christy's a no nonsense lady, and she's not afraid to say the word fuck now and again.
My
So
fave.
she's my kind of gal. What's on your mind, Christy?
For sure, for sure. So I'm listening to everything, and I still hear a lot of fear in people's
Yeah.
voices, which I completely understand. So I just got back from Costa Rica.
Yay.
Yeah,
We
it
love
was
Costa Rica so much.
fantastic. I took myself there for my 47th birthday, and I traveled around, did some leisure, and then I volunteered on a sloth and wild animal sanctuary.
Well, that's fun.
Wow.
Yeah, the thing is, it was a lot of work, but the importance of animals and our planet, and the main point I want to make is I didn't really meet a lot of Americans, and that is
Good.
great for me. But the
Yeah.
people that I did talk with around the world, a ton of Germans, Netherlands, Switzerland, Belgium, etc. Their main point is they are literally scared to come to America right
I don't
now.
blame them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And although a few years ago, if I've traveled there, I'd be like, what are you talking about? America's cool. But today, as we talk about everything that's going on, the Costa Ricans that I was in, Spanish is my second language, so it was really fun to, be able to speak to the locals. But everyone is really, really beyond confused about what Trump is doing. And
I think Trump's confused.
well, Trump is obviously, it's not even confused. He literally just has no idea. He has no idea what the fuck he's doing.
He's a dumb motherfucker.
He is such a piece of shit. And he's affecting the entire world.
Right.
It's not just our country.
Exactly.
Everyone is confused and they're scared, and the price influx and everything that's going on it's blowing their minds.
Well, Costa Rica does not have a military. We are their military.
Yeah,
So
we
I'm
are
sure
their
it's-
military.
it's
We
super
are their
fucking
military, right?
Yep.
So Costa Rica itself is more of a second world. It's not third world. I mean, there's certain things where you can't flush your toilet paper. You're like, okay, that's third world shit. But their prices, it's very Americanized. A lot of people speak English as a second language.
Yes.
But yeah, everything that Trump is doing is just not us at all. He's really affecting everybody else, and that's really, really upsetting.
Rebecca and I were in Costa Rica a couple of years ago, and the people there are amazing. I'm just going to say that.
Fantastic.
And all the people that we befriended while we were there in Costa Rica were all Europeans.
Yeah, they were all mostly all British.
Yeah, they were
and,
mostly
and
British
Irish.
people. British and
Yeah,
Irish
a
people.
lot of Euros. When I do more travel to Southeast Asia, I tend to find a lot of Australians. Barely any Americans, thank goodness, and then barely any Australians. It was literally, UK and Europa. But everyone is just like, what is going on? And I'm like, man, I've been fighting this piece of shit for like a decade. I don't have the answer.
When you go out there and talking to other people in other countries, are you embarrassed at all about what's going back here? I am.
1,000,000%. But I also walk around with my FDT hat on. So people know
like that.
exactly where I stand. Everywhere I go, I wear that. And
Do you ever get accosted because of that?
No,
Do
I
you,
mean, I get a lot of second and third looks. I think people are a little confused, even though the DT is an orange, so you could
Makes sense.
put it together. Some people think maybe it's a basketball team or something, but I get, double looks, triple looks. No one has ever approached me unless it was like, thank you.
Yeah, in foreign countries, they're either not going to get it, or if they get it, they're going to be like, yes.
Oh, it's 100% yes, Rebecca. It is like, fuck yes. Because he's a piece of shit. And the last lady that was speaking, what you guys were talking about is when Trump goes away, however that looks, the world will forgive us. They will.
Yeah.
But will your family and your friends? And that's kind of the turmoil that he's created interpersonally, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's my wife, I've said this many times. My wife says, every time you talk to Canada, please ask them if they realize it's not us. We like Canada. It's just Donald Trump. And resoundingly, I get from Canadians, yeah, we get it. We get it. We hate Donald Trump too. We know you're cool. And that's good to know. That's helpful because the damage he's doing is unprecedented.
And that unprecedented, nothing he does is ever unprecedented anymore to me. Everything he does is so flatlined, and everything he says he's going to do as a quote unquote joke or, satire. No, he is going to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And my friends on the West coast of Canada as well as east coast of Canada, they just actually check in. They're like, "Are you doing okay?" I'm like, "The second he dies, I think I'll be better." And they're like, "No, don't wish that upon." I'm like, "I actually do wish that upon."
I do too.
But yeah, everyone ultimately knows that most of us are good here.
I think so too.
They're just scared for themselves. So that's pretty sad.
We're scared for ourselves too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have college kids getting picked up and detained, brown people, if you have a tattoo. My niece, who's 19 years old, is half Mexican and a female, started the Navy, and you have Hegseth, right? She's not protected. I don't feel that she's protected. So there's so many elements for fear, but as long as we continue to talk about it and talk to our international friends and, continue fighting and rallying and all of that, I really do think that we are going to prevail sooner than later.
I do too. And I think the fear aspect of it is part of Donald Trump and the Republican strategy. There are a lot of people afraid, and justifiably so. I always quote Bernie Mac when it comes to people saying, "Aren't you worried about this? Aren't you worried about that?" And I always use the quote that Bernie Mac says, "I ain't scared of you motherfuckers." And that's the attitude you got to kind of take. We are smarter. We are ultimately stronger. We have bigger numbers. Eventually the tide has to turn. Nobody like Donald Trump ever lasts forever. They always crash in incredible fashion. And that is coming. That is coming. I am surprised it hasn't come already. I am surprised by that, but it has to come. And we're seeing Donald Trump right now kind of flailing around at this point. He's almost even to the point where he's pathetic. He hears people talking about, well, where are the deals on the tariffs? So all of a sudden he comes up with a bullshit deal with England that doesn't mean anything to fucking anybody. And now he thinks he's a hero. But the problem is the China thing's going to hit us in a week or two, and he's not going to be able to divert from it. People are going to be impacted, and he is going to look like a piece of shit to a lot of people who may still like him now.
100%. Two comments on that. One with the UK steel deal. Yeah. Jaguars and Land Rovers, Range Rovers are super expensive, but they're honestly pieces of shit. Like any level of repair for those cars is almost more than what you buy the car for. So that is a bunk bullshit deal. And then, oh dang, I lost my train of thought on the second thing. But
well, we're talking about the English deal or the UK deal and how it's pretty much phony because the tariffs are still there at 10%. I don't know what he fixed other than cutting out a few things, but it's not going to impact most people. And if you took all of the trade from England or UK, it's about 3% of what we do every year. So not a big deal when China's shutting down the fucking ports.
Exactly. And thank you, Mike, always for being so freaking rad. That brings.
Thank you.
It's true. Like I've said it before. I have ADHD, so my brain goes a little crazy. You reeled me back in. So my second point is, I am not like a trade investor, but I do buy investment stock. And when he started this tariffs bullshit game, I lost $3,000 in like 3 days. Yeah. So I ultimately, there's another podcast I listen to, Prof G with Scott Galloway. He's fucking rad. I ended up selling most of my US stock and diversifying with China, India, UK. And I've recovered 1K of my 3K in the last few weeks.
Well, I will tell you this, Christy. TJ's not crying for you too much because he lost like 40K.
I mean that, but I am not TJ, and I don't have a 401k. I'm a small business owner.
Right.
I pay attention. I pay for everything myself. Right, like I'm not saying you don't do that, TJ. I apologize. What I'm saying is like 3K in 3 days.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Is a lot of money. And I was like, I F fucking this, dude. So I sold most of my US stock and diversified, and it's coming back big. So that's cool.
That kind of squares with what happened to me because I lost 35,000 in 6 weeks. So that kind of...
That's someone's salary annually, man. Like, that's it.
Yeah. Especially here in Erie, Pennsylvania. That literally is somebody's entire salary.
Totally.
Well, the thing is, Christy, I wasn't giving you shit. I was giving TJ shit.
Right.
And he expects that.
Well, you can give us all shit. We're friends here, so it's all good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm used to Mike busting my balls, so, you know.
And I'm used to my wife and kids busting my balls. So it just goes all around in circles, you know. Even my granddaughter will tear me up now and again. Well, Christy, thanks for coming on. I want you to do me a favor. Reach out to me next week and let's get you back on the podcast. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you have some great insights. You know some shit. You say fuck now and again. I couldn't ask for a better guest.
Awesome. I love you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks,
Christy.
Okay. Ciao.
I love talking to Christy. She's a great lady. She's pretty bold.
Very down to earth.
And yeah, she's very down to earth. She's up in the northwest part of the country. But it's always a pleasure to talk to her. And yeah, it's let's see who we've got next. I've got somebody called Diabolical. I don't know if this is a good move or not.
Oh boy.
But we will give it a shot. I'm kind of feeling myself today. So if we happen to get somebody who is of a contrary opinion,
a little snarky today, Monica.
I'm ready. Hey, Diabolical, what's up with you?
Well,
Diabolical
is
Look at that cute little.
TV.
What is that? What's that? Is it a squirrel? What is that cute little face?
Hello?
Yeah, hello. Are you there?
Yeah, it's a hamster.
Yeah. The silence you had at the beginning was kind of diabolical. So now I'm ready to hear what the fuck you have to say.
I'm cooking a protein pizza in my air fryer. So sorry, I was away for a second.
No problem. What's on your mind?
I was wondering if there was any Trump supporters in your life. I'm just trying to ask like a Trump supporter one question in every live I scroll through.
Well, typically there are Trump supporters on. They don't usually get through because Rebecca and TJ are Trump-la-fuck. I'd say the word, but I can't say it. They usually root them out. I've had occasion to talk to Trump-la-fucks here. It doesn't go well for them. It's kind of fun, but then I feel dirty afterwards.
They're generally terrified.
The problem with Trump-la-fucks too is by the time we beat them up, they get so butthurt that they go crying to TikTok and then they take us down. So we don't usually have it. But I tell you what, Diabolical, you ask the question. I will try to drop my IQ level down below 100 and try to answer how they might answer.
Holy crap. Hey,
so the question I have for Trump supporters, I don't know how to say the term, the habeas
corpus.
Habeas corpus.
Habeas corpus, yeah.
Like, because Trump was already ordered by the Supreme Court, what under my impression and what I understand, he has at least 3 Supreme Court justices that he handpicked or whatever on the Supreme Court. He was ordered to bring back that guy that he claimed that was MS-13, whatever. He has not followed through with it. But if they ignore that I'm just going to say hibachi. I don't care. I don't know how to pronounce
habeas
it.
Corpus.
Sorry. But the hibachi order, what do you, in your personal opinion, think like? Because I think if they ignore that order, all of us are in danger.
Well, yeah, that we are in danger, especially the habeas corpus thing. But Donald Trump better hope he doesn't do that, because when the tide change, that will apply to him and all his people too. So we'll just be able to load them up and send them down to fucking El Salvador. I think personally, what I think is going to happen. I mean, here's the thing, Diabolical. You can talk to a Trumplefuck and say what you just said, and they won't have a clue what you're talking about,
Oh,
or
my
they'll
whole
say it's a
family
lie.
is Trump fucks, and
Yeah,
I'm probably the
you
only
can't
Democrat
argue
in
with
my
them.
family.
You can't argue with them because they're not bright enough to comprehend truth or facts or anything like that. Here's what I think, though. Um, Donald Trump's Donald Trump's approval ratings is down to 39%. When he does things like this, it's going to affect that approval rating. And when it gets down to about 35, 34, 33%, this is going to make the Republicans a little itchy. And there's going to come a point where they're going to push back against him because he's more of a liability than he is an asset. And when that happens, what's going to happen, the thing that needs to happen that hasn't happened yet, is the Republicans need to step up and impeach him or push him out some way. But the Republicans have been too big a cowards to this point. But when his popularity is so low, they're going to have no choice but to push back because it's going to cost them their elections.
Do you think
That's
I have one
not a
more
great
question?
option, but that's what it is. Go ahead.
It's just a personal, like, what your idea is, because like I said, I'm hopping from live to live tonight. Do you think, because I know, like, impeachment doesn't mean immediate removal from office.
Impeachment doesn't. What happens is you get impeached by the House, and then it goes to the Senate. And if the Senate convicts you, then you're gone. Now, every time he's been impeached,
Is there
we've
a
had
way,
Republicans
like, if he got impeached, right? Because he got impeached the first time.
twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a way to impeach him to the point where, like, he's immediately removed? But also,
Yeah.
like, if he is removed, JD Vance is next up, right?
Yeah. Theoretically, I think J.D. Vance has some problems too. I
Because
mean,
I don't JD Vance. I feel like if Trump got removed from office, I think the cult dies with that.
I agree. I don't think JD can be the face of it. I don't think anybody respects or likes him. He will get into office and he will be controlled by whoever in order to try to save the elections coming up in 26 or 28. Donald Trump can be impeached and gotten rid of right away. He would probably resign if that was imminent. But what has to happen is the House has to impeach him. Then it goes to the Senate. The Senate decides whether he's convicted of this impeachment. He's still impeached, but they decide whether or not he's booted from the job. It's never happened before. Nixon probably would have been impeached and removed, but he resigned beforehand, which is what Donald Trump would probably do. But we need the votes in the Senate to do with that. Now, some people in the Democratic Party have
But
said there's enough
not to
Republican votes
interrupt
to
you.
do that.
It's
Sure, go ahead.
The Senate and Congress, right? It's Republican controlled right now, right?
It is. It is. But some Democrats have said there's enough Republicans that want him out of there too because he's doing incredible damage to their careers because they're going to be hard pressed to get voted in. What I'm saying is Donald Trump has to be enough of a liability. He has to be causing too many problems for the Republicans, and then the Republicans will jump ship because they have no choice.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's going to happen. We may have to wait till 2026 and hopefully the Democrats get control of the House and the Senate. But that could happen the way things are going. I mean, when there's nothing on the shelves, the economy is in the shitter, people are out of jobs, people are upset, they're protesting by the millions in the streets. The Republicans are going to have to say, this doesn't look good for Republicans in 2026. We better step away from this fuck. And, these people only care about their position. So if Donald Trump is a liability to their position, they're going to kick him to the curb. We're not quite there yet, and that surprises me, but that could very well happen.
It is surprising. Hey, I was joining your live. I do follow you on TikTok, so
Thank you.
but I'm gonna go jump to other lives and ask other questions. So thank you for your time, though.
Yeah, you can find a Trumplefuck live and you'll get some doozies. I guarantee
That's
you'll get
honestly
some
what I was
fucking
trying to
doozies.
find. Yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Can you imagine? Well, I can't imagine the likes of somebody like TJ out specifically looking for Trumplefucks. I can't do that, but TJ loves that, don't you? You still doing that, TJ?
I still do it.
Yes.
I still do it. I have a little less time to do it, but when I get a minute, I'll join their lives and go and fuck with them.
Is it kind of cathartic for you or what?
Well, yeah, but it's like the dumbest conversation in history. I mean, it's if you want to really be mind-numbingly bored, that's the place to go, because it's the most ridiculous conversation. And the funny thing about it is that they don't realize, like they have these conversations and they don't realize how hateful they're being. Like,
Yeah.
they don't realize that it's racist. They don't realize that it's misogynistic. They don't realize that it's, xenophobic. It's just crazy. Like they don't they get in these conversations and they act like they're self-righteous, and it's just actually really offensive. I mean,
yeah. No, I get that.
It's crazy.
Rebecca, maybe you can support me on this one. I personally think that TJ likes to go into those Trumplefuck rooms because for once in his life, he'd be the smartest guy in the room.
Oh no, you can't say that because he's super smart. His IQ is actually 1 point higher than mine, sadly.
Really?
Yeah.
If you've got a wife that will admit that,
yeah,
that's a keeper, because my wife would never say that.
Only 1 point. And I question that at times. There's times where I'm like, maybe we should retest.
Yeah. We need a recount on that one. I'm going to pull somebody up here, and I'm taking a risk here because I don't know who it is.
It's not British John, is it?
No. I haven't seen British John. No, this guy isn't coming up. His name was Sergeant Bing, and that's always a risk. All right, we'll go with...
Nope.
No, this is somebody different. He didn't come up when I punched him up. And it looks like this one's not coming up. What the hell is going on? All right. We're going to pull somebody up here. We're getting down to the late stages, so we're going to take some risk. I haven't seen British John.
JD Farmer's here.
Farmer's here.
He is, but he hasn't requested. I mean, I can pull him up.
Are you being lazy tonight, John? What's going on?
John's lazy. Lazy motherfucking farmer.
Well, he did it earlier, and I didn't grab. Oh, there he is.
Some new farm equipment he's been out on lately. So,
JD, I saw you up earlier with a request, and I pulled some other people up, and then you dropped off the request. Were you fucking pouting, you little Gen Z?
No.
Okay.
I'd stay in the comments tonight.
All right, no problem. What's on your mind? What are you thinking about today? No doubt there's plenty to think about.
I'm trying to figure out what they're doing with this whole habeas corpus thing.
I think it's a distraction.
They are definitely not ready for what would happen if they tried that. They're not.
No.
I mean, I see this going one of two ways. The first way being that they'd actually try it. It only lasts like 10 minutes before the courts knock it down.
Yeah.
And there's a whole big fucking uproar. Or the second way, and I think this is the way it's going, is they are floundering, they are desperate, and they are crashing out, and they're just looking for something to throw out there to keep people scared.
Yeah.
I agree. And, it's Friday, so they like to throw shit out on Fridays to scare people over the weekend or distract.
Over the weekend, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's a distraction, too. He's got some other issues, some other problems. It's like arresting that Newark mayor. It looks like they specifically went out to arrest this guy. They made a special effort to arrest this guy to create some fear or whatever. People aren't afraid anymore. They're just pissed off. And that's a problem for Trump.
Yeah, yeah. They need fascist governments need fear in the public in order to take hold.
Well, that was
Absolutely.
Hitler.
And
That
they're
was Hitler's whole freaking
exactly, and
manifesto.
they don't have, and we don't have fear anymore. It's just get the fuck away from us. It's, you know,
Yeah.
and what's more, like when the mustache guy came to power, he gave people a reason to follow him. I mean, whether you like it or not, he made the trains run on time. He fixed their economy. He gave them
Right.
national
Yep.
pride again. I mean, and he used that and said, if you like what you see, you have to vote for me because I can keep it going and no one else will. But
Yeah,
Right.
but
And
Trump's not that smart. He's not
No.
going to make anything
Well,
better
no. And
to like be in power.
well, he had a good economy and he fucking destroyed it. So he's given us nothing to support him for. We have no reason to follow him.
somebody just said something. The more of this he does, the bigger the June 14th protest will be. And I think she's talking about that parade. I personally don't think that parade's going to happen.
I don't think so either. That it's not going to happen in public. It will happen on a base somewhere. But if they did it in
Yeah.
public, it would just turn into a giant protest. They know that.
Yeah. 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 It would be like a massive town hall meeting when even Republicans are bitching about it.
Yeah.
Now, JD's a farmer, and we know the farmers are impacted by these tariffs. Are you noticing anything where you're at? You're in Illinois, I think, with the tariffs. Is it impacting people around you?
Yeah, the grain prices fucking suck right now.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's bad.
So, what do you do with that? You got no choice but to sell the stuff, right? You got to sell it because
Yeah.
you can't leave it and wait for a better time.
Well, it helps if you have on-farm storage, but not everybody does. But like we still have 120,000 bushels of corn from last fall that we haven't sold yet, and then we're supposed to
Wow.
sell it in July, and I think we're going to take a bath on that this year. But it's tricky.
How are your Republican friends feeling about this? Are they feeling a little different about Donnie? Or are they still supporting that fucking clown?
I mean, some of them are starting to see it, but a lot of them are saying, "Hey, yeah, the economy is really bad." But they're not connecting the dots with Donald Trump.
How do you not? You blame Biden for everything.
It's fucking crazy.
I have
It's
no
crazy.
I have no idea the mental gymnastics that goes on in their heads that make this okay. It's just
Clearly, they do not have the
It's
IQ.
fucking
that-
wild.
It's crazy. It's fucking crazy that they can't figure it out.
I know. It's like that. Well, they think it's China's fault.
Yeah, but John, don't you think that they're in denial though?
Oh, that I'm sure.
They're in
I'm sure that's what it is.
Yeah, how could they not know? I mean, they
Do you think they don't know, or you think they don't want to admit that they voted for this clown that's freaking causing this
I think
shit
it's
today?
both.
Yeah,
I think these people are so embarrassed that they don't want to admit it.
They know they fucked up, but they don't want to say it.
I'll
crazy.
just take a bath on this shit and keep voting for this dumb fuck.
I'll just lose my ass and pretend like everything's okay. What the fuck?
People ask me, do you have sympathy for these people?
Fuck no.
And if people have woken up and said, "Holy fuck, I fucked up. I fucked up," I could maybe give them a little sympathy. But these people that still say, "I still support Donald Trump," you deserve what you're going to get. I'm sorry. And over and above what you're doing to yourself, you're also a villain because you're inflicting this on people who are completely innocent that didn't vote for this dumb fuck. So I have no sympathy for these people.
Right, I agree. Absolutely.
Exactly.
It's fucking wild for me too, because like I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I've never voted for Donald Trump, but my boss and his brother did vote for Donald Trump all 3 times. And so if their farm goes under, I lose my job.
Wow. Is your job at risk now if it starts losing money like it looks like it's going to?
Right? I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility. I mean, I haven't heard of anything like that. I mean,
Okay. JD, how do you feel about elevators?
Elevators.
I'm pretty good with grain elevators. I don't know about like actual elevators though.
I can teach you everything you need to know, pal.
Oh man, I'm moving to Pennsylvania.
You'd have to move to New York City. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the city.
You can live in New Jersey and commute.
I don't want to go to New Jersey.
So much better there.
Fucking Rebecca's recruiting employees at this point. Where has this fucking show gone?
I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know what. I'm confused by half the shit that goes on every day. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's.
I'm on a new whirlwind tour right now. So.
Gotcha.
The other thing I wanted to mention was who was about the Pope. Who was the guy? One of the Trump administration was like one of the cardinals or whatever, a bishop or something.
Yeah.
Said that there would never be an American Pope until America is in decline, in political decline.
Wow.
And
I said that earlier. Like they only choose popes. One of the considerations when they choose a pope is that it's somebody who in a country that really needs it because they're in distress.
Wow. Well, we are in distress and we are on the decline, and that's unfortunate. But we do have an American Pope. JD, are you a Catholic?
I personally am not, but like half of my family is. So
okay.
I feel somewhat connected to it, even though I'm not Catholic myself. But
how are they feeling about this Pope, given that he's a little liberal?
Well, it's disbelief, really, that it's an American. You know, we've been told forever that there would never be an American Pope, and here he is. And from Illinois, I'm in the holy state of Illinois now.
There you go.
It's crazy.
And he's a Cubs fan. He's a Cubs fan of all things.
Sox, actually. His brother.
Is he a Sox fan?
Yeah, White Sox.
Oh, okay.
No one's perfect, but hey.
Well, it's a weird situation. I always ask people, okay, we've got an American Pope. What does that mean for the world at large? And they say, well, there's a billion one Catholics, and that's true. And what he says holds weight, but when you've got people like Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, he's going to get a lot of shit.
Well, they said there'd never be an American Pope because America was always rational. They not anymore. So.
Well, and this tells me something too that is kind of worth keeping in mind. This tells me that the world hears us. You know, they know that there's a lot of people in this country that are good people that are suffering and that are worried. Yeah. And to me, at least, this tells me that the world hears us.
Like who the fuck ever thought that the Catholic Church would have to come and defend America from ourselves? Like literally, like
yeah,
it's really stupid.
It is. It's freaking insane.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is a little frightening, and I know a lot of people are still frightened. But JD, do you get the sense that Donald Trump is starting to flail now because nothing's working for him? He loses 200 court cases. He's getting bad press. His tariffs aren't working. Nobody's backing down, which is normal strategy. Things aren't working well for Donald Trump now. He's going to say and do crazy shit because that's all he's got left.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I mean, I
hope I'm right.
I don't see him lasting much longer. I really.
Yeah, but does he even know? Does he know? Like really? Like I have to think that his administration is like sheltering him from literally everything. And does he even know what the fuck is going on in the world? Like, does he really?
I don't really think so. I think he's oblivious.
Well,
we all know he's got dementia and is batshit crazy. So, like, does he even freaking know?
Well, it's not only that, but like every time you see him in press conferences, someone will ask him a question, and he'll go, "Oh, I never heard about that," or "This is the first I've heard of it."
And honestly, like, I don't think that's deflection. I think he really hasn't. Like, I really think he
No, his people aren't telling him anything because they knew that if he did know, he'd either get really mad or he'd just fuck up all the time, and so they just keep him in the dark.
Well, you get a sense of what Donald Trump knows, like TJ brought up when he referred to the country of Mattel. And then when he was asked about the tariffs and people losing jobs and nothing coming into the ports, his only answer to that was, well, we're not losing as much money. No, but we're losing jobs, we're losing businesses, we're losing homes, we're losing all kinds of shit.
He doesn't see it that way.
No, Donald Trump keeps score one way.
Yeah.
He wins, they lose, he makes money. His only scoring system is money.
And it's an 18-hole golf course.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
So supposedly, my brother is requesting up right now. Supposedly.
Okay. Well, let's see.
His name is Veggie.
Veggie. I don't see him as yet. I don't see him.
Oh.
Veggie, you got to. We're getting late in the show, so you got to request it, and we'll see if we can get you up. Just because you're TJ's brother, I got to hear this. I got to fucking hear this. So make the request.
Well, just so you know, if you bring him up, he's not going to stop talking for the next.
Yeah, he's going to talk.
Minutes.
This live's going to go another hour if you bring him up. I'm just telling you.
Well, we're not going to do that.
No, don't make that face. It's fine.
And we're going to wrap this up. But I will suggest this to you, TJ. Maybe you and he come on the podcast, and we have a little more control.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to talk to him. I mean, he's emailed me a few times. Seems like a good guy, a right mindset. I'm good with him.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's a great guy. Oh, it's stop.
Well, I want to thank Rebecca and TJ and JD and Oliver's mom and Christy and everybody else that showed up on the show. That's what makes it interesting, other people's perspective, other people's knowledge. And I appreciate all of you coming on the show. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Mike. Good night.
And those of you listening, I want to thank you for taking the time to do that. Hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.